Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new session of the Design Nuances Edu series. Um, this series it has specific objectives associated with it, right? Let me share my screen and let me just share my screen, right? So we have very specific objectives associated with the series. It's called the Design Nuances Edu series, where you learn a new topic specific to design or fashion or architecture. You interact with an expert and absorb the knowledge that they share. And of course, you get introduced to a new school and understand their purpose, right? Um, so three very specific objectives. So there will be a talk about the topic and Q&A as well. So you'll be doing that. Now, very interesting. The topic is called shaping spaces, perspectives through dimensions. There's really two elements to this, right? There's a design element and an architecture element or an interior element with this. And this workshop is taken by Dr. Kishori Dalwadi, who's the HOD of the Interior Design Department at UID Ahmedabad, right? Um, Now, Dr. Kishori is an architect, an urban planner, and an interior designer. She's worked and published books as well. She's worked on the interior renovation at IIM Ahmedabad, and she's done a lot of research papers as well. Now, she's also very passionate about mentoring students in this area, and we're really keen on knowing what Dr. Kishori has to share today. For those of you who are interested in applying to UID, I'm going to be sharing this application link in the um, in the chat of this YouTube webinar, and y'all can take it from there. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing right now and hand it over to Dr. Kishori. Doctor, thank you so much for taking the time out to come in here and interact with our parents and students. As you know, this is live streamed on YouTube, so it's not going to be as interactive, but there will be questions, and I will moderate those questions in.
Great, great. Thank you, sir, for the beautiful introduction and wishing you all a very good evening today. It's my privilege to be a part of this team and endeavor that you are all doing, other than what normally happens as an understanding of a part of a workshop or anything that is gone, a step beyond of understanding of what design is, which normally is a complex, but yet a very simple to understanding if you can take it further into. So I welcome you all once again and thank you DQ Labs for inviting me for the same. And thank you the team of UID for making us as a part of this. So before I take up on my workshop, I would like to make the broader understanding of my topic. Herewith, I share my screen for the same, which will just give me a second. I'll start sharing my screen soon with you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So, so the topic has got a wider scope of understanding into many of its aspects, but we shall be focusing on one of it, which is dimensions. That is a very crucial part that we want to show. I'm just trying to get my presentation in place. Yeah. Just a second. Somewhere, presentations coming up. Just a second. Sorry for this. Yeah, here it is on my window. Okay. So here I share my screen and here I go. Wait a moment. Whiteboard phone downloads. Somewhere I'm stuck. Okay. Just a second. Ashish sir, can you just help me in sharing the file further?
Sure, ma'am. I'll do that. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Yeah. I think this needs to be shared.
Doctor, you're sharing that screen.
I'll be sharing that, sir.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is. You can go on.
Thank you, Ashish. I think your help would be required. Thank you so much. So basically, it's shaping spaces perspective through dimensions. There are many high load words that you can feel. We are talking about space, we are talking about perspective, we are talking about dimensions. A lot of things are happening in a go that we might feel that the topic is about, but it's very simple. So you all must be aware of few of the aspects that we have got as allies in the Wonderland. How and many of this cartoons, creatures, that animation movies that we have got. We have got this Tom and Jerry out there. Hardy Boys was one of the time that we used to do. So all these things are a fiction way of understanding of spaces. We used to see this Mickey Mouse going out into this hole of the mouse going inside, and still the perception of the space was still the same as a whole. The cat was this big and still it was going inside it. So the perceptions were still the same, the dimensions still remained the same. So that was an illusionary way of looking into the ideas of spaces that we could relate to. Now, coming into the reality part of it, and often going through and understanding and delivering with the students, what we have understood is that somewhere the ideas are wonderful. It's way to exceptional ways of your presentations that the students come out with. But what is it mixed out is the understanding of the dimensions, which is becoming the kind of a connection link that we can say, which is between the reality and the illusion. So to deal with reality and the ideas and the concept, dimension plays major role into giving it to the idea of a pyramid that we can say, which takes us to the highest point of our achievement that we can say about. And this topic will give you through few live examples of the illustrations that has been exhibited in the process of understanding it into a better perspective. Next slide, sir, please. Right. So as you all must be learning, it's a point and line understanding that we start off with, and that gives us a volume. Right. So a point and a line combines together to create a volume that is more or less what we say as starting from 1D to 2D and a 3D transformation. So when we talk about dimensions, it is about the length, the width, and the height that is normally related to. Yeah. Next. So, yeah. So this is a personification of ideas as length, width, and height that we can say upon, which are kind of planars, different planars that forms the space within, right? So irrespective to the idea that I have put upon right now here, but yes, it's about these through multiple dimensions that we normally say as x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, which are trying to give us an idea into the transformation of our concepts, be it anything. For example, let me put it down further. Yes. Next slide, sir. Yeah. So let's see this as a concept, for example. It's an evaluation of ideas that we say. It's not about the space, anything that we talk about. Even when you are trying to design a product or when you are trying to design an apparel, the concept is there, but the proportion has to be delivered. So how do you relate to this proportion? So for garments, we have got our Silhouette's image of the body that we put upon forward. Then when we talk about products, it's about the anthropometry and ergonomics of the understanding of the product that we try to narrate it further into. So somewhere the length, width, and the height, LBH, has its importance in its many personifications, whether we take it lightly or whether we take it into a more complex way, but this is there which helps us to relate to the illusionary concepts that we are trying to put into a reality world, right? So that's where we try to see. This is why the image has been put upon an app coming out and generating as a human, and then that is where we come as computational part of our learning. So it's an evaluation that happens, and it's important that we have got our cognitive thinking as what you are doing as ideas has to be there to what a reality fact can be happening into. So these are the few understandings which will help us to see how dimensions can play its identification and giving up a shaping of the whole or dialogue of communication really happens through this, right? Yeah. Next, sir, please. So here the presentations will be taken into two examples which are of attributes that help us in changing these dimensions into a different perspective. There are many folds to it. But here with the coverage that three main aspects has been covered, and being in from an architecture background, I shall be showcasing you the examples which are related to facades and buildings and architecture and interiors. Yeah. Right? So dimensions for understanding through architecture. So basically, as I said, LBH or length, width, and height. So we are trying to mark it out into the changes that can happen through scaling of it, its manifestations, and its layering. Now, what is this manifestation and scaling that we are trying to say upon? So what we can say as scaling is more as understanding of making something which is small, which is very large, or large, which becomes medium, or maybe which is proportionately to the same idea of our understanding. Something of that kind. Let's take it that way. Manifestations. What is manifestation verbally? Its manifestation is the changes. So what is manifestation? Manifestation in form of color, manifestation in form of texture, manifestation in form of its form by itself, or the change that can happen into it. So these are the different layers of manifestation that can happen. That is what we say as, which gives you the idea of a change of length, width, and height. And layering is something, as it very rightly says, putting something over the other, maybe vertically, horizontally, into the process of overlapping, rolling it out, whatever it can. So just trying to understand this concept and how this still going back to where it was, which you might not have realized when you must have seen this, but this is in the framework of the dimensions that it plays the gimmicks about, right? Yeah. Next, sir. Yeah. So let us start with the simple examples of door as an idea to understand the narratives that I'm trying to put forward for you to understand that what is it that we are trying to look into. So for example, if I say or ask you to perceive a door, definitely it's kind of a door that comes as an image to anyone as a simple door, as an entry door to a house or to a bedroom or to any place of belongings that happens upon, right? So this is a conventional way of looking into the aspect of an opening that we put into the building, for example. Yeah. But next to it, sir, have you ever thought of, you must have seen these kind of doors if you have visited the places as Rajasthan or any of the Havelis of the. So this is again a door. This is again a gateway. And what we can see here is a door within a door. Like there's a door which has got its own realm to the grandeur of the facade that it has got. But yes, there is a proportionate door which helps the transition of the door. So can you understand the notions of a door is to pass through the two indoors and outdoor spaces. And that is what door in its own essential way of looking into can be personified as a human transition node between the inside and the outside, which has been beautifully put into this vernacular door design that has been portrayed here as an example from Haveli of Rajasthan, where the larger doors were more for the elephants to pass on because at that time the vehicle was not there and the mode of transportation was through animals only, and elephant was one of the grandeur that was there. So the scale of the door is large for them to pass into the procession part of it. But yes, there is another factual and important part, that the transition of there's a transition that happens, and that is where the proportion of the door has been scaled down, and that is where the quote has been put upon as a door in a door. Yeah. Next, sir. Okay, now coming to a more larger scale of perspective, let us take this example of a capital complex of Chandigarh city, where it's designed by Le Corbusier, the architect, and the idea was that it's a magnitude building because it's one of the capitals and lot of in a government body that was there, so symbolizing it into that grandeur scale was very important for the personified. But the translation of this building in entry from, how can you do that, right? That has been beautifully translated. So the changing of height starts playing its role. We cannot have a small, again, a same systematical or a conventional way of putting down the the door here. So can we move on, sir? Yeah. So this is a capital complex of the Chandigarh, where you can see the manifestation has been done through an identification of a homogeneous circle, which is in grayscale. For right now, take it as gray color, which is concrete basically. You might not need to go fall into all the details right now. But yes, the color, facade, and the human scale, if you can relate to that part of it, the human scale that you can see out here is really so interesting that it is still giving you an idea that you are going to enter to a different horizon and a space which has got its own importance for the function that it is going to cater to. So the decisions that are taken at a political platform, etc., are enhanced with the grandeur of the building, with the change of manifestation of color. So whatever you are learning right now as concepts of colors, of elements, or anything that you are trying to do, maybe a simple color wheel that you might be doing right now, but it has got is starting to create your understanding about how to relate these things in the further platform of your advanced understanding to transform that into a better personification of the ideas or the elements or the design that you might be further taking into, right? So scaling may not be required here, as I say, and it can change an attribute to the colors, vitally playing a role and making it more as a transition zone by itself, still respecting. So the it still that it's the thing we can see as human as this and the door as this, but still we are able to relate to it. While what was happening in the former slide was that this was the door and the human was this, the door pattern was this much, right? So that balance was still balanced. It's not that. So can you relate now the change of dimensions that are happening? The width, the length, and the height are scaling a scale into a larger persona, but still not losing its essence of the entry node that a door is really primarily made for. Yeah. Next, please, sir. Okay, coming back to an intimate understanding of a dwelling, for example, reducing this small space and going down and moving forward into this zone gives you a feeling of intimacy. So why do we do those? Those are basically protecting you from the outer world, right? And henceforth, when we try to design a dwelling, we don't go under extravaganza of understanding it. And this is where the scaling down of an element into its proportionality form that is there, right, helps you to relate to it, right? For example, if you are lost a room, for example, or a space that is more smaller, you start relating it to it better, maybe at certain times. But that is where the scale factor of length and width is 900 by 3, what we say as 2100, comes into picture to make it more acceptable for us to move about and relate it into a feeling of belonging, is what it gives us. Next. Next, please, sir. Okay, this is a very interesting example from is at Ahmedabad itself, which is Hussain Doshi Gufa, which is designed. It's a museum basically, and it's all a subterranean structure, which is all underground basically, and it's a museum and which displays the work of the great painter and artist M.F. Hussain sir, and it was perceived with Doshi sir, who is the Pritzker Award, and this structure was having everything inside, but the way the door has been made, you feel that you are entering a cave structure, and the elements that you can see out here are turtles and the motifs of turtles, etc., are carved out here in a tortoise and everything, a dragon with a paw or something, because it was a kind of an experiment that it is going to go as an underworld element that you are trying to look into. And these are the few elements that are there when you go into the ocean, right? So, not directly relating to it as an aspect of understanding, but a transformation through a doorway, making you get the zest of you going into a subsidiary understanding is what the scale of it. And that is where the size, scale, and motifs starts playing its role into this persona. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So this is the example of the Madurai temple. We have got good gopurams, and so it's had got many layers of layers and layers before we reach to the Garbhagriha, right? So what happens, the idea of this is that as you move around the doorways, we enter from the outer world out there. And as we move forward into the smaller variation, our thought process also lightens up as we move forward. Oh, where are we going? Where am I moving to? Right? So all your outerly word thoughts of your worldly requirements or whatever it is are then narrowed down as you move forward into this movement of towards the Garbhagriha or the main part of the temple that you are trying to approach. Right? So this was a beautiful example from the Indian temple architecture where the scale of the Gopurams reduces down from a magnitude of larger sizes to the smaller to the human proportion to relate you to the whole metaphor that is being related to you from transition from the outerly world to your inner self. So this was a beautiful notion that has been practiced. And this is again a layering of elements where door as an entry or an entry as a door, whatever we say is playing its role into creating this idea. Next, please. Yeah. So this was an example that I was trying to showcase to tour. Taking you into another personification of wall, which is a vertical plane, we can say as a dimensions, which or we always say in room that, okay, it is 3 meters, it is 5 meters, or it is 4 meters, or whatever we say. And when we see brick, we relate that, okay, this is diwal aa gayi hai. That is what we say. It's a wall that is there, right? So wall again has got its own personification in a very different dramatic way as well. So I would like to say that let's see those examples as well to understand that few more understanding of it. Yeah. So this is a wonderful example from Atma House, which is Ahmedabad Textile Mill Owners Association building in Ahmedabad itself. And it's a design of Lee Corbusier, sir, where the auditorium part has got a wall that is all cladded out of plywood. Just imagine this building is in somewhere mid of 1960s it was, and the way beautifully it has been personified with a curved wall changing its transmission and the form by itself relating to the closure part of the whole space. So, and the play of light that is happening is all things that is adding to the beautiful aspect of the understanding that is happening in this area that you can see out here. So the transformation of vertical elements, the dimension that you have, we normally see as wall, is can be if done in a better perspective. We change it, and that can create a different meaning to altogether. Yeah, that is what the idea of this example is being put forward for. Yeah. Next, please. Okay. I think as kids, we often used to play upon papers and we used to scribble around and cut out folds and everything into it. And we used to create this kind of stuffs, if I'm not mistaken. And then this is what we used to do, I guess so. Like this is what we used to do. Yeah. So why this is happening? Because that curiosity of seeing something through something is very interesting. That opens up the excitement about the whole idea of looking into certain things. So this is a beautiful work of Sir Laurie Baker. Uh, he was a foreigner, but he settled in Trivandrum, and lot of his works are seen out there. And he really worked with brick and perforated walls, translating it into that persona. The idea was that the climate that we are living is hot and humid climate. So to get the cooler effect of it, this way personifying it into jali walls was one of the ways of him to create spaces which are inside cooler, and you get a soft sunlight that comes from the brick walls that gives you a soothing light as well as a breeze that is not too harsh. The sun is always harsh, but when it's transmitted through these kind of perforated walls, it gives a transition of a softness of the light that creates a play of spaces within also. And also, of course, aesthetically it is always appealing to see these kind of work that is there. So lot of work in material and form can be transmitted in the wall to create the play of light and shade, which adds a different dramatization to the whole concept of this. Of course, this is a very difficult you need a special craftsman people who might help you in doing this further, which is also quite interesting to look into. So these are the few of the works of the Lodi Baker sir, and the play of planes, light. Again, what you can see is the folds that you can see out, or the manifestation in the form of what we can say as perforations is what we can really articulate out here. Yes, next please. Okay, now when we try to see layers part of in walls, walls are having many layers. Walls can be created vertically into many ways. Now, can we have these planes that we are trying to create a directional motion of transition that happens? So this is a work of Barcelona Pavilion by Miss Vendro, and the plan, it's just simple planes. The roof is just straight. The walls are very straight, as we always think, but the change, the length and the width that has been changed out here is really helping you to create a transition of motion that can happen. And these planes are put in such a way that you can feel that okay, you are enclosed in a space, yet you are outside in a space. Right? So this is one of the beautiful examples which narrates about the length, which becomes a narrative for directional understanding. Yeah. Okay. This is the combinations of examples that we might be looking here further are more related to vernacular as well as contemporary as well as to the modern art design that are out here. So the idea of putting down these different examples, my student, is that you should understand that the idea that we are trying to look into right now from a very basic understanding of point and line, and which we normally don't understand, is what is the length, what is the width, what is the height. So idea generations are very important for us to understand, but this, when meticulated with a very thoughtful process to derive to a user utility area or to an aesthetic part of it, or maybe to a transformation of a length that is required or a meaning to it, will justify to the whole story that you are trying to do for maybe anything. For a garment, I think we shall discuss this examples further as we move on further. So example, this is an example. So this is an example from Kutch, Bhunga in Rajasthan. So basically, it's a very circular home that is out there because it's made of mud basically. And these structures are more of related to stacking it with hay only, because I think everyone is much aware that Kutch is an area, earthquake zone area, and recently in 2001 we had this earthquake which happened and it demolished the city to its most, and which has revived back to where it is right now, what you can see out here. So the idea of here is that they have got many different utilities out there which are very interesting for them to do, which are there to for us to. Sir, please continue. Go back to that slide, please, sir. Ashish, sir. Yeah, yeah. So these are different niches that you can see out here, which are created to display a lot of things, right? Right now, we have got different systems of display happening around, which we are made of metal or something of that kind, and structures to come into. But then there were these inbuilt elements that were there, which used to help them to depict their house, and they showcase themselves into it. They wanted to showcase that, okay, my house has got so many of these elements into my house, and wall was an element for them to display through creating this kind of niches, this kind of storage system, this kind of systems, which helps into creating this arena of spaces. Yeah, sir, Ashish sir, next. Yeah. Okay, so all our mosque and many of the buildings around, and also Udaipur, which has got the palaces also. So this is an example where Jali work, the intricacy of the Jali work is also creating its own personification of light and shade that plays into the role of design into it. So the motifs that are translated may be related to the Islamic architecture, it may be related to Hindu architecture, because the craftsmen that were working for it were somewhere or the other of the same community. So maybe in a mosque, we might find a swastika also. And even if you go to Taj Mahal also, you will be able to see few motifs which are more related to floral design or lotus design, because the craftsmen were more related to the same kind of people like Hindu or Muslim. So irrespective to that, that was how the carvings were done. And the play of light that you can see, it's a skinning of a wall. So this integrate really gives a beautiful soft light inside the whole structure, which gives you the softness of the cooling air as well as connecting you to the outside. So these are few elements from the vernacular understanding that we must take it further. And maybe with a generative understanding or a speculative understanding, you can really transform these spaces and these ideas into a better looking ways that spaces can be requiring right now. Yeah. Next, sir, please. Yeah. So basically coming to the conclusion part of it, matriculating spaces, we can have different length, we can have breadth, we can have different heights, which can help us to personify different spaces into a different horizon. But it is maybe right now I have showcased you the examples of doors and windows. But yes, it can be into a many facade elements of different planes coming about, different floors coming about, playing off with the heights, whichever one of the temples that you can see at Rameshwaram entry that is on the extreme right, which has got scale grandeur, which is too different to that, to a length of a doorway that you can see at the entrance out. There's the facades that has happening and the motifs that we play. So the idea is that playing with length, breadth, and height after your conceptualization of your ideas that you are trying to put upon will help you to give a different shape to the whole design that will help then materialize. Yeah. Yeah. So concluding it, length, width, and height can help us make changes which are articulating through spatial experiences through point, line, and planes. So these are the three main crucial elements that you have to look into and understand while you are designing anything, may it be anything. For a garment, for let's say when you are trying to design futuristic element as say an apparel for designing. So you will be understanding that we are trying to do something which is futuristic. So it's going to be more of planes that you're trying to put on the garments. Maybe it's metal that is going to come in. It's more of a skinning element that is going to be there. So how are you going to make it into a look as a fit-in thing, which will be look more proportionately into the frame of the thing. Now, if you have got a dream kind of element for bridal wear, for example. Why I'm putting down examples randomly is trying to relate the dimensional part of it. So when you are trying to, so when we have got a wedding, it's a gown that is there, which is full of fluffiness. So the volume increases. So it's a kind of an illusion that we are trying to say that we are carrying up on lot of our dreams along with it when we are trying to look, and that gives you an image element to it, which stands out. The bridegroom and the bride sends out into the crowd because of her garments and the volume that she carries forward. So that again, the dramatization of the width that changes into the idea. Then we try to design an iPhone or an iPad. What is it different? Why is it so different? When it started, it was different, and now we are doing it to something. So if you see the technologies that are coming in Apple, that are coming in Samsung, they are all going into the micro macro detailing part of how a curve can be put upon, which will help the user experience to be so different for that into using that appliances. And that is where a micro understanding of dimensions at different scales are important before, or you just don't do it a product or an element or a space just for the heck that, okay, I want to create a change in it. Why is the change required? And what will be this change if I do the change in the dimension? So this change is reciprocation with understanding with its length, width, and height will definitely help you to get a better result to the personification and considering the human aspect, which is a most important part of the design in any of its layers that you might be looking into. So articulating spatial experiences is important through, again, with the elements that we look into further with length, width, and height. Yes. And here I thank you, and I put upon my presentation at hold. Thank you so much for giving your time to me. Yes. Open for the discussion. Yes.
Thanks so much for that, Dr. Kishori. It was
Yes.
very, very well put together and very well
Thank you, sir.
explained. And in fact, there's a question from Nihal Srivastava,
Yeah.
who's saying, really love the pace and content of this webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
He goes
Thank
on
you.
to say, is this topic in closer association to architecture than design? So what are
Yeah.
the distinguishing factors?
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat the question?
So is this topic in closer association to architecture rather than design? Right? Is it more related to architecture or design?
No.
And what are the distinguishing factors?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment for the presentation. So, Nihal, I would like to say, Nihal, I guess so the name was said. I would like to say that examples that I have put up on forward are more to architecture, but it is the topic never is related to design architecture alone. It's a design personification. That is where I'm trying to put upon examples of appeals, where I'm trying to put upon gadgets as products. It can be anything that you can put upon here to understand the dimensional perspective of it. Because I am from architecture background, my examples portrayed that into larger perspective, but I would definitely like to relate the same topic with many disciplines together to help you understand maybe in a better perspective as well. But anytime, anything that you take upon as a design, for example, let's take, what is your interest of line? Can you just give me, I will give the example for that related. Nihal?
Yeah, Nihal, you can type your interest out.
Yeah.
So while we wait for Nihal to type his interest out, you know, even in terms of say the buildings you see in the Middle East, the traditional buildings, right?
Yes.
They are shaped in a way to ensure that there is a flow of
Right.
air and environment and light and
Right.
all of that. Yeah, so it was
Right.
very, very relevant in that sense.
Right.
Um, Also, now, could you give some examples? I mean, to build on in Nihal's case, he says he's inclined towards industrial product design.
Very true. That is where I come into. Yes. So, for example, let's see, for example, Nihal, you are into a product design, and for example, you are given an element to design, for example, let's say a water bottle. Now, when you start designing a water bottle, you will have to think into many aspects. For example, let me see. Okay. So, first, your idea would be coming for a bottle, which if the user that we understand, right? So, of course, when we try to relate to this bottle, we would like to see into an aspect of how it is being holded, why it is round, and why the height of this is so much, right? So, this diameter will be there, this height would be there. But what will be the context that you are trying to relate to the object? Is it going to be carried in a purse? Is it going to be a part of? What is the context that you're trying to deliver to the same part of a bottle, which is going to be this, right? So proportions or height, length, and width matters in each and every aspect to it. So the context that you try to develop will help you to give a better persona of this dimensional aspect into a better use. Of course, there are many things that you will be learning about the material aspect of it, the holding. So ergonomics, as we say, plays a major role when you are trying to design into product designing, like for example, the holding part of it. So again, the dimension of your hand matters, what you're trying to grasp. For to other than this, what is it going to be? How will you make this dimension? So the dimension will then come of the use of the material that you're going to use, right? To that, what I'm going to use at here, right? So The relation of length, width, and height has got many other layers, as I put down as layers, into its understanding of its palette of the user that is going to be there, the material content that you are going to be there, many things of it. My concept of putting down this presentation here was that I have seen that always the ideas are so beautifully narrated sometimes by the students, and when they try to transform, the idea that comes at the final is lost because they are not able to relate to what they have done, because you have perceived understanding into a very small part of it. So if you try to relate it with a graph paper, for example, a grid, simple grid paper as a graph paper, it will help you to come at in the framework of your ideas into a better perspective of reality rather than too much of an illusion aspect, because industry is going to move on fast. As you move out, there will be people asking, are you come join us, we have got this project. There are n number of opportunities that would be there, but you have to be map practical, and this transformation of practical can happen only through this understanding of the dimensions, is what I want to cater through this presentation. Yes.
Excellent. So the relevancy for these kids as well, right? The students, the aspirants here, is that they are also, answering these exams, the aptitude tests and the sketching parts of these exams. And actually, it's very relevant in that sense as well, because in whatever they do, the perspectives, they need the shading, they need the shadows and the textures to represent the various angles and the emotions or personas that you showcase through the
Right.
project, right?
Right. And I would also like to add to this, sir, that when they try to present anything, it should not be just an element that they put it because it was an assignment of a rendering that was given. So they can always add a layer to that rendering that was given as a part of assignment. How can they really meticulate that? Okay, if I do a rendering, okay, if I think that the light is coming from this source, how the shadow would be and how the rendering can happen. Or maybe they can just personify that this element is somewhere put into, let us say, this friends, the friends that they, which is that friends, there is the show, no sir, friends,
Yeah.
right? So for example, an element that they design, and if they personify that okay, you going to use this place into that, which might not be the part of the assignment, but if they start relating it that matter, the idea that they put forward would not be that individual alone, because somewhere or the other, the world is so, sir, that everything would be collaborative now. Word, it's not going to be an individual aspect that everyone would be looking into. And that is where I'm trying to say to students that whatever you try to do, relate it to somewhere that will help you as an object rather than making it as an individual aspect, is what my idea is. Yes.
All right. All right.
Yes, sir.
So Peaky Blinder is asking that he or she is taking the UCEED exam, right? And
Okay.
wants to know how can this be applied, this concept what you spoke about, how can it be applied in, when she does the sketch at the UCEED exam?
Yeah.
Or any
So,
exam for that matter, not
yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah, very interesting question. I really appreciate that. So there would be many questions that would be coming into your papers that you might be putting upon, where you might be asked to personify yourself as an element, as a ant, or maybe you might be personified that, okay, you are standing, you are an elephant, and try to see this object into so personification. So at that time, I think the dimensions will help you to understand that if the scale of the elephant is so much, the object is going to be so much. Or if it's an end, what will the end feel like when they see a larger thing out there? So this will definitely help you, but it will also help you in not in two-dimensional. It will give you a fourth perspective of your understanding into the other part of the layering that can come from the above. If it's an end part of it, or if an element part of it, what can happen from the ground that can happen? Evaluate it from the ground part of it or the underlay part of it, right? So try to see the fourth element that is there, which can help you in understanding the dimension part of this whole concept. right? So personify your ideas. This kind of examples will definitely come into. You might be asked to proportionately draw a Taj Mahal design and try to put down two colors or elements into it to highlight it. And that is where you will decide that what is the color I would choose to put forward into a lighter mode or something of that kind. Yeah.
So, Piggy Blinder, I guess your question has been answered. And in short, any perspective question or any perspective question will require these concepts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So hopefully this session has helped you. I think it's a beautiful session. Nihal is going on to ask, what is the UID Praxis 5.0 poster behind you?
Okay. Okay. Very good noting, I would say. Yeah. So this is our event, departmental event that we do every year, where we showcase annual work of our students and we invite all the professional architects from around the city and otherwise. We have got people coming from Delhi, Pune, etc. They come see the students' work, and after seeing their work, it's a display of the work basically. What we do is for making our students proud that what they have learned out there, and we have got symposium along with it. So all the semester awards from first, second, third, and fifth are portraited in praxis with a theme that we put forward, and guests are invited and they take upon our students for the internships further on. If they like the work of the students, they look into it, get back to us, and that is how we try to build the network with our industry as well.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. I'd invite Ashish to come on for a few minutes and talk about the school UID. All right.
Sir, I'm open to any questions. They can be put forward in email through Ashish or anyone, and I shall be happy to answer that, sir.
We'll also to mention, to build up on that, your presentation deck, we will share it with these students
Okay,
and
yes.
they can take care of that.
Yes, I think it would be a slow process understanding maybe right now, but as they see on many things, I want them to open up their concept into not a conventional way, but look into the reality as well as not stop themselves from thinking as illusion, because that is the benchmark that they will have to make their stand into the world further.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And this praxis, is it open to visitors as well? That's a question.
Yes, sir, of course. So now the praxis dates are 30 and 31st January 2025. I shall definitely get in touch with you further for that. And students can come up and see, because we have got semester 7, which is advanced semesters, where students do more of a generative and speculative understanding, mechanism-based design, prototyping, which are displayed. So like the facade I was trying to say, so they really built upon this facades from 3D printings and portrait a narrative of it and showcase in the worlds. Then we have got many of furnitures which are made from wood, which are displayed by the students. They do it in a group of 4, and huge full on one size furnitures are made. There are good spaces that are designed out here, hybrid spaces basically, because that is a concept that is not taken up. But we tried them to build into a narrative which will stand them out into the world rather than just going with the conventional design of a restaurant. So why can't we have a restaurant which is more of a user universally designed, where and accessible to all, but still having its techno part of it. So that is where we try to build up our spaces, and faculty really work on the design program very hard. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So if you'll have more questions, please keep posting them. However, at this point of time, I'd like to invite Ashish to share a little details about the school and their application process.
Sure, sir. So is it visible out there?
Yes, it's visible. You can put it on presentation mode.
So yes, hi, good evening all. This is Ashish here from UID. So talking about UID, we have been established in 2012. UID stands for United World Institute of Design. And we have 2 campuses out there. That's one in Ahmedabad, that is under Karnavati University, which is a state private university in Gujarat. In 2022, UID has partnered with GD Goenka University, a state private university in Haryana, to launch its second campus. It spreads up across 60 acres. UID is a proud members of Cumulus FT, World Design Organization, the Association of Commonwealth Universities, ADI. So UID has a record of having a state of art infrastructure, superior amenities. The foremost important thing that after completing your 4 years, you're actually getting a UGC approved degree, right? Having a creative space with technical advanced labs, workshops, studios, you name it, and you have it. We upgrade our curriculums, we upgrade our study materials as per the market scenario is required, as we get the feedbacks from the companies where the curriculum needs to be upgraded. So it is internationally benchmarked. We have industry visit, field trips, international visits, live industry and social projects involved in all the 4 years. We have the faculties, the alumni of NID, NEFT, IIT, and other national and international institutes coming down. Then again, the student ratio that we have is 13:1 per semester wise. Talking about the courses that UID is offering, we have B Design Honors, that is a 4-year full-time degree course, and the specializations that you can choose from is fashion design and styling, interior and furniture design, mobility design, product design, visual communication, interaction design, animation, and game design. Further that, after you complete your BDes, you can also opt for MDes. That's a 2-year full-time degree course. Here we have 4 disciplines. That is fashion, visual experiential design, industrial design, interior and experience design. Now, this is something very interesting. This we call it GDP. It's Global Design Program. Now here the catch is talking about the odd semester, that is semester 3, semester 5, and semester 7. A candidate is actually able to go to the foreign universities that have been tied up, and you'll be there for 14 weeks starting from second years onwards. And like semester 3, you're going to Swinburne University, that's in Australia. You're going to Di Milano in Italy. In semester 5, you're going to Swinburne University in UK in semester 7. So it's more of an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary design education where you're actually learning design as a whole, right? A part of product design, a part of fashion, part of interior, part of visual. So it's basically you're learning design in every aspects. So it's more of an international exposure to global classrooms where you're getting chances to learn from international faculties from particular universities out there. So area of specializations also you can choose like design and innovation, interdisciplinary design, social innovation, design research, brand and experience design. So this is something really interesting program that one can go ahead and choose. So like UID gives a gateway once you complete your BDes, right? So we call it UWW, United Worldwide. So here, this particular wing helps students to get ready your portfolio for different particular universities. Like we have 32 plus universities tied up, where UWW is helping you to get to these particular universities, building up your portfolios and other formalities or the structure or the procedure that is required to get into the universities. So this is the incubation center. Like if your product is ready, you are into you have your graduation project, you have your life projects going in all the entire 4 years, where you are actually going through each and every project. Now, if your product is ready for the market, now this particular center helps you to get fundings and give you investment opportunities to go on and just launch a product itself or get your startup funded from the companies itself or the investors. So we have CRC team, that is Corporate Resource Centers, that comes into the picture from semester second itself, building up your portfolio till the last. And they help you with the counseling sessions, resume writing, portfolio guidance, graduation projects, internships, event placement, building up soft skill guidance during the interview, info session. So CRC team will be there starting from second semester till the end to guide you overall. Talking about the admission procedure, the applications are on. Sir has already mentioned the link in the chat. So you can fill up the form, and we have our own DAT examination that has been scheduled on 25th of January. That will be completely online. What you need is just a good laptop, a good internet speed, and it's a 3-year online examination. The sample papers are available on the website. You can just have a look just to know the pattern, how it is, right? Once you complete the first round of examination, you have to come down to the particular campus that you choose, what the preference campus that you have mentioned during filling up the form. So we have a 1-day process after the board exams, probably in the month of April or March. So you can choose a particular slot. It's a 1-day process where it's a situation test and portfolio evaluation. And once you complete all the 3 steps, then forward, you can start with the admission process. The eligibility criteria for BDES, it's 10+2 from any stream and at least 50% aggregate score mark in your final scorecard. Same for MDES, it's 10+2 and your graduation with 50% of aggregate scores in your final score. So yes, this is a small video that will give you a glimpse about UID campus as a whole. So is audio on?
No, can't hear.
Okay.
You have to share audio.
Just a minute.
I think the students are not around. That's all. The participants show just 4 only.
They're on YouTube. They're on
A creative life is an amplified life. The more the creative resonance, the stronger the identity. The United World Institute of Design, UID, is one of the leading design powerhouses of India, with a rich legacy of creating amazing designers and inspired personalities for close to a decade. UID's vision has only been emboldened with time. Its relentless efforts in shaping young, thoughtful minds into top-notch design prodigies has come a long way today. With the Institute now galloping its way into newer territories of inventive streams across its 2 campuses, UID Ahmedabad and UID NCR campus, UID is turning out to be the most preferred destination for students aspiring to create a league of their own in the world of design. UID Ahmedabad campus offers B Design Honours, B Design Honours GDP and Masters in Design. UID NCR campus offers B Design Honours and B Design Honours GDP. Both the campuses are equipped with world-class infrastructure and superlatively advanced equipment and technology for the best learning experience for its students. The academic choices cover a plethora of disciplines, ranging from industrial to communication design and from fashion to interior design. The curriculum is driven by some of the best and most experienced names in the industry, mentoring the young designers through an excellent regime of theory and practice. Life at UID is much more than what convention offers elsewhere. Young dreams find a colorful palette of experiences in the campus. UID leaves no stone unturned to present the best and complete platform for the students to explore themselves. Welcome to life. Welcome to design. Welcome to the United World Institute of Design.
So yes, that was a small glimpse about UID.
All right. Thank you so much, Ashish. In fact, there are some questions that have come up. Aditya Bose is asking, what's the overall fee structure for each of the programs?
So for BDES, it's going to be 6 lakhs for person per year per annum. So total cost going to be 24 lakhs for 4 years.
All right. What about the GDP?
GDP goes to be 40 lakhs for 4 years.
Okay.
This is the course fees that I mentioned.
Sure. Right. Then Minal is asking, is the GDP open to all students or are there restrictions?
No, it's open to all. When you're filling up the form, right, you get an option either to choose which particular uh, course that you're going to opt for. You get an option like BDES, and you have options like selecting product, visual, or communication as per your selection that you want to go into. You have MDES, and then there is also a selective called GDP, Global Design Program. So you can choose any one of them as per your interest.
All right. So Minal, I hope you got that. So it's either GDP or a BDES. It's not both.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hardeep Kaur is asking, Ashish sir, how does the fee differ from the two programs as the usual BDES versus the global design program? We answered that. Minal is asking, when is the result date for the DAT?
So we generally, what happens, we evaluate each and every, all the 3 steps. All right. So the data examination has a weightage of 40%, right? Then you have to come down for the second round. That is situation test and portfolio. That happens to be a weightage of 60%. So once all the 3 steps are being completed, then the final results are being declared.
All right. So Ashish, if you don't mind, I'm going to share your number.
Definitely.
ID. Right. So I'm sharing your number on the group, and for people who are keen on reaching out to you, they can most definitely reach out to Ashish and ask for any questions that they want to get clarified. I'm also going to update this information in the description of this particular webinar. And yes, so that's done. So thank you so much for okay, we're getting a couple of more questions if you don't mind us
Yes, of course.
Okay. So Hardeep Kaur is asking, can a student change their selected stream in the application form during the admission process? Ashish?
Can I get the question again, sir?
Yeah. Can a student change their selected stream in the application form during the admission process? Meaning, if they apply for something, can they change it at a later stage? In the admission process?
Say, suppose if a student has applied for product design, right, in the application, and they have completed all the steps before the commencement of the session of the year. In case if you want to change it, it can be done right through mail. All the communication happens to be via mail, right? You just have to mail to the admissions that this is my name, this is my application ID, my candidate ID, and this is my registered number. And you have to mention that during filling up the form, I have mentioned this particular specialization and I want to change it to this particular specialization. That can be done before the commencement of the session. But after that, there is a short duration that happens to be open to change your particular specialization that have a bare minimum amount that is required depending upon the seats if it's available.
All right. That's taken care of your next part of your question, Hardeep. So is the first year going to be foundation? The answer is yes. Does that infer that students can shift after they are selected the course? They have 6 months to do so,
Yes, correct.
right? So that's the suggestion. Minal is asking, how will we get to know that we have passed in that first round?
So you will be intimated through email itself, and you will be given further intimations of the dates and the slots that are open for booking up for the second round.
Okay. Soumya Kiran is asking, can you please talk about the hostel facilities?
So like hostel facilities, we have variants, right? Starting from four sharing, three sharing, double twin room, right? So you can choose as per the variants that you want to go upon, starting from 2 lakhs and goes up to 4 lakhs per annum. Yeah.
Okay. Anita Krishnan is asking, in a world where AI is taking over most functions, how is it being incorporated in the curriculum at UID?
Let me take this question, sir.
Sure, sure.
So basically, that's a wonderful question, and I really appreciate it. So basically, we start from our foundation, which has got the fundamentals of AI as a subject that has been introduced, which is in progression at each level according to the specific field would be enhanced into that specialization. And this is a mandate course that goes into designing with maybe softwares, maybe put down as per the requirement that goes, and it's incorporated from foundation till your semester 6 in the progression levels as per the techniques, because we have got our United World Institute of Technology, which is where engineers are there with us, and we invite them as a part of our UID team, and they take upon these courses which are meticulously driven with coding and understanding, further taking into the designing part of the respective course. May it be interaction design, may it be product design, may it be mobility design, or may it be fashion or interior, any of it. So the aspects of AI is varying in each aspect of it. The foundation gives you the understanding of basic of AI, and the specialization happens at first level, second level, and third level. Yeah. So it can be software based, it can be through development of models or anything that might be, it might be creative coding or anything, but that would be taken care of in its own persona with the levels. Yes.
Excellent. Hardeep Kaur is asking, the GDP is 10 lakhs per year for the course. What could be the other expenditures, and are these to be borne by the student? You're on mute.
Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry. Yes. So the variable cost that needs to be bared by the student itself, that might be visa cost, the ticket cost, the hostel cost. So these are the costs that have to be bared by the student itself. So probably what we have seen, the average cost that happens to be in the variable uh, costing, it's somewhere around like 1400 US dollars or to 1500 to 1600 US dollars, depending upon the currency exchange rates, happens to be for a week.
All right. And I think with that, we come to the end of all the questions. Thank you so much, Ashish and
Thank you.
Dr. Kishori. It's been wonderful to have you all here.
Yeah.
Um, what we'll do is we'll share your contact details. We'll share Ashish's contact details for any further questions that they need to find out. So Soumya Kiran, I see your question there, but I think this is something that Ashish can handle with you directly. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I'm
so
going to
much.
end this webinar now,
Yeah.
and hold on.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the participants for listening really well. I mean, listening and interacting and asking good
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm really happy to see that the next generation coming out with a very thoughtful understanding rather than just taking it as it has been given upon. I really I feel great to be a part of the society. I'm looking forward for the generations to come to teach them and guide them further in the best way that we can. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the point of this, right?
Yeah.
That it's an academics, this particular session is an academic session.
Yeah.
The idea is to see how a complex topic is broken up into a very simplistic manner.
Yeah.
So everyone learns from it. And we want the parents to learn and the students to learn and everyone to have a common conversation. Fantastic.
Yeah. Because normally what everyone feels that design is just a like that and it can be done, but it's not so complex. It's a very complex understanding that goes, which is both cognitive as well as hard work that goes together, and skillful based understanding, which is also important to get your ideas into a right basket, which will make you the right person or the for the post balancing upon the environment aspect maybe and becoming the human balance both together to give a right design basically. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay,
All
sir.